Hi.
Hello.
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 And Nicholas is just sitting down next to Sam. He's our, I guess our CO, and he is he's a midwife and he does all kinds of things at the hospital.
He's a clinical officer now.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, Anne.
Oh, I'm on. What I have to press. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
Hello, Janet. Hello, guys.
Hi.
hello.
Who's on the right there? I don't know who that is.
Hey.
In the dark.
Casey.
In the dark, that's Rispa.
Below Sam. Below Sam.
Casey. Me?
No. The person sitting in the dark.
I think Risper.
That's Rispa.
Oh. Hi, Rispa.
Yeah.
Hi.
Risper is the one.
Hello.
He's in charge of our social work department.
Yeah, okay. You said yes. Sorry. I got the wrong person.
All right.
As far as everyone here, so I think we're gonna do Nicholas and then Casey, and she's in charge of our marketing and communications. So websites and all communications that you see all comes through her. So all the photos you see, she's taken, and all the graphic stuff.
Lovely.
So we have no idea how many, if any, will join us. It's one of those things. We're giving this, and then what we'll do is we'll record it, and then we might just send out the link, and people can watch it at their own discretion. So, but we thought let's give this a try and see, and if people join, awesome, and if they don't, they don't. So we're also doing another one. I think all of you know. And that will be 7 hours from now. And then there's 11 or 12 happening that are happening in people's homes that are in rent. So there's a total of like 13 or 14 of these, the two of them being these kind of virtual ones that we're doing.
Right.
Like,
Finley,
Finley, your shirt.
Hey, Jojo Steve. Hey,
Oh, look at the shirt.
Hey, muri muciel, muri muroji. Hey, Ange. To say so kurava. Sorry for the British. That's the Uganda greeting, and then we'll go to the English greeting after. Yeah.
You always know what people
Wow, wonderful to see you all.
Yeah.
Lucy's just on her way.
Right. And Nigel and Claire, oh my stars, it's great to see you.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you too. How are you doing?
We're good. I'm not sure if it's the beer, but yes. We're good. Feels like kind of a family reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we were in the same room.
for sure.
Nice.
For sure.
Janet, I want you to know that I was talking with Jackie this week, and she was asking about you. And so to be able to see your face, I thought I'm going to feel like crying during this conversation. It really is.
Let it go.
Our people. It's really great to see you, to see all of you. But for sure, I will let Jackie know I've actually talked with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we'll give it a few more minutes and then.
Oh.
Hi,
Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Ashley. Irene.
Wow.
Hi.
Awesome. So
Can you hear me?
are
Yep.
and just so you know, the tiles on your screen look different than the tiles on everyone else.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you take your mouse and kind of roll it around, you'll see all the names pop up. So Achilles just joined us, and he is our head of health. So he's over our hospital. And then Irene joined us, and she is head of education. And then Lucy and they just jumped on, and they were part of the original team.
OG.
For sure. And Lucy is still working in the HIV world.
What?
And in the medical world, working with people with HIV, which is pretty awesome.
She's our TV star.
It got sent that she's on the news.
We will watch it. Can we have your autograph?
Mm-hmm.
Sam, nice to see you in Uganda.
Nice to see you, Finn.
Yeah. So, where are you?
We
I know
are
you're in Uganda, but where in Uganda?
at Cherish, right at Cherish.
He's sitting at the new administrative building that was finished this year.
Amazing. Beautiful building.
Good.
Yeah. Steve, you saw this building when you came here.
Pardon?
Steve, you were able to see this building when you
Yeah, I
were
did.
here.
I saw the site. I was in tears. It was wonderful to see the whole vision, especially the school completed, and really the quality and standard is superb. It's excellent. Yeah, excellent. It was very, very moving. Yeah.
It's interesting to look at everyone on the screen, and everyone has been there at different points in history. And it's really cool to watch when people have come and for you, Stephen, to go back, and it's probably, you've been there the most recently, probably, of everyone on.
Yeah, it was February, wasn't I think? February. Yeah.
Wow.
And Brandon just joined us, and he is with 1 Million Home, and he spent years in Tanzania, so he's quite familiar with East African ministry, and he's a key player in 1 Million Home, which is a key partner of ours that we've partnered with around the whole idea of getting kids back home and out of institutions. So thanks for joining us, Brandon.
Yeah, great to be here with all of you, and just love the work at Cherish Uganda. So excited to be a part of the meeting. Thanks, Brent.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to get rolling. Like I said, we have no idea who's going to show up for this. Then we'll do another one in 6 or 7 hours, and we'll see who shows up, and we'll record this and get it out. So yeah, it's exciting to see just some of these faces on here. There's people here from UK and Uganda, and then multiple places in the States, which is awesome. So let me pray for us, and then we'll get started. Thank you for the people that are present in this call. Many people present in this call have given up much to be a part of the ministry of Cherish, and we're thankful for the work that you have done through all of them. And so now, as we look to the future and the continued development of the vision you've given to us, we pray that you will continue to lead us, continue to bring us to the right people, and that you would make this day great. Amen.
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 So, yeah, it's interesting that we sit here on December 1st, which is World AIDS Day, and it's also Giving Tuesday here in the States. So there's a big push for people to give to different organizations. And today is actually our, Leah and I's family's 10-year anniversary. 10 years ago today, when we
yeah, we bumped in through the faith community that we were part of then. There was a connection with Cherish, and we both had skills, I suppose, and we were looking for a bit of an adventure in Africa.
You got one.
So we knew, I think we knew Steve loosely through another connection. And so and so off we went, really. I mean, I'm conscious of time. It's obviously a slightly longer story than that, but I guess with the gifts I've got around sort of construction and sort of project management back then, I don't do any of that now. But back then, that's what I took to Cherish. And so worked quite closely with Steve on some of the building stuff. And
I'm a registered nurse here, so I really wanted to use my sort of nursing skills and healthcare background to sort of help with that side of things, develop that side of things at Cherish. So yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah,
great.
How old were the kids when you came?
So Savannah, when we decided that we were gonna move out and go for it, she was only actually about 10 weeks. No, she was 10 weeks, but when we arrived, she was 10 months when we arrived in Uganda. So we now have 4 children. We had a son whilst we were in Uganda. We have three girls and a boy. So yeah, we came out with a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old. So yeah.
Awesome. And Janet, you were there the longest of the original team. And
yeah.
How did you see it change over the years from when you first came to when you left?
Well, like you said, it was just a piece of land when we first saw it. So physically, you know, it changed hugely in terms of, we put up buildings and we took in children, started a school. And yeah, the health centre was starting by the time I left, which wasn't anything we'd particularly considered beforehand. So yeah, it didn't really look anything like we imagined when we sat around in a living room over here in 2004 or 5 and kind of dreamed and talked about it. But yeah, it's way beyond anything we imagined then, I think. Stephen would probably agree. He was at those meetings as well. Yeah, it's just amazing, really, how it's grown and developed.
And can you speak to some of that, Stephen? Because you obviously saw it when it was just dirt and it was a vision and a dream, and you from the original team has probably been there the most recently. What kind of changes have you seen from both the physical, but also even just the vision, as far as you have understood it from what you've seen?
I mean, when we were first invited to go out, and my link was through Rick and Bev Murrell. I was I'm an architect, and I was the architect for their church in Chelmsford. What all that Bev was aware of is that the hospital, Mildmay, wouldn't treat any orphans who were HIV positive. So, and she couldn't understand why. And when it was explained why they couldn't, there were 3 reasons which we won't go into, we haven't got time. The CEO of Mildmay, who was a Christian lady, and from the church that Bev and Rick were leading, said if somebody would come out here and build a village for orphans, HIV positive orphans, we would supply antiretrovirals for life at no cost, and we would support you. And Bev just had this sort of sense from God say, right, you can do it, which was crazy to her. And then Rick, I'm an architect, but I changed my career, or I thought I had, into international development. And I was doing a master's in tropical agricultural development, so an international development degree with agriculture at its core. And Sandy and I, I'd finished the master's. I had no job, we had nowhere to live. And we were on the journey on the road in the car, wondering what on earth we were going to do. And I got a text message from Rick saying, we're in Uganda and we've just found some land that we might do something with. Have you got any time at all to do a sketch or two, not knowing my circumstances? So within a few weeks, I was out in Uganda looking at this site, which in the end we didn't buy, but we bought the next one with Larissa involved. And so what it was, the land had been very, very heavily trodden by cattle. So it had been a sort of coffee plantation a long time before. Some of you know there's still a few coffee tree shrubs dotted around in discrete spots. I think Sam will know there's probably one or two. But it was the wrecked land, you know, the ground was as hard as nails. It was very, very acid. Within just a very short time, it was turning into an oasis, you know, where we're growing every type of crop, and then the buildings were beginning to emerge. And then a friend of ours in London donated the money to buy the land on the frontage, which we sort of didn't know what to do with for a time. And that's where the hospital or the medical center is now. So it is a complete transformation. When I came over in February, I just want to end with this. The thing that moved me most, that I had a real vision that we should never cut down a tree unless it's absolutely essential. Whereas every other sort of Christian mission in Uganda I went to just decimated all the trees and cleared the whole land and made, you know, grass swathes. But the thing that's amazing about Cherish for me is that nearly every single tree is still there, which was, we've got a tag for every one somewhere in your archives. You've got it. I think it's 674 trees. So that makes it very different from anywhere else, even though it's this incredibly productive land doing this wonderful job, yet it's swathed in trees and feels really sumptuous and green. So that, yeah, it's still that way. It's still good. It's better than ever now.
Yeah.
If I can add one thing to what I said, our original vision was that we would provide these children with a home for life. Yeah. And I wondered, I was hearing a lot about children's homes closing over here and institutional living wasn't good. And I kind of wondered why we were doing it. And I'm really pleased to know that we're now, you know, children are being relocated back with their families. And yeah, we always wanted to maintain contact with families, but yeah, having found ways to support them, then yeah, that's ideal to me.
The ethos then was that no one in Uganda seemed to be happy, even, you know, the mothers, sisters, whatever you want to say, you know, they would be left the children of their sister or family to look after, but they thought they would catch HIV/AIDS from the child. So this is why we had to go down a route to break that, and having a village which was open and where we insisted that family came and saw the children twice a year, and we paid for them even to come, was part of that change. But to come back in February and see it's moved right on, so there's no, so as it were, institutional work on site, it was really awe-inspiring. I never thought it would happen that fast. So that was wonderful. Yeah,
it's been pretty great. And Risper, who's now head of our social work, she has a team of social workers that she works with, and that's really the connection to those kids to Cherish, is those social workers. And we're in a place that really looking at those social work teams and trying to figure out how do we best assess those homes, and how do we best care for them, and how do we best strengthen families. And because it's not just about getting kids away.
Oh no.
It is about continuing the discipleship, continuing the connection, and continuing. So it's pretty exciting to watch it continue to go. Yes, Finn.
So I think just to speak to that point, so some of you remember that we had a van, and it was like the taxi van. And I remember specifically doing some journeys to around Uganda, very moving journeys with the original social worker called Margaret. And you know, I did some of those journeys, and it just made me, when you were speaking about that, reminded me of some of the motivation for doing the work was the lack of resource. And so families, most probably, one, didn't feel they had the resource, didn't know what the resource actually was. And so actually, if they had a kid who was HIV positive, it was like I'm barely just feeding my other kids, and the kid who's HIV positive is just going to die. And so that was the mentality that we encountered,
right.
Which maybe is still there a bit. But so back in the day, it feels or sounds quite harsh, you know, going to collect these kids. But I remember some of the vivid, dark, barren places that I would go and meet these kids and where they were staying. And it was really hard, you know, because I kind of connected with that lack of resource. And so for that kid, without that resource, they were going to die. And I suppose that was some of the motivation to try respond to that, but also change the perception, because actually the resource required maybe isn't actually what people think it is. And so the journey around education came, and good diet and taking medication regularly, etc. You know, that began to change and began to filter through. So it just reminded me when you talk about that, some of that challenge early on.
Yeah, and that's now what we're endeavoring to be, is to Cherish, to be a resource center for those families. And, you know, back in the early days, we were all just doing what we thought this is what we should do. And we were doing what God called us to do. And now we've just been seeing it open up wider and bigger, and realize that we now have large enough staff, history, experience, resources to be able to now actually be a center that we are that connecting point now, rather than, because what we were really doing in the beginning years, we were so focused on the child, we didn't really expand to the families. And now we're trying to figure out how do we now expand to those families. And it really kind of opens up the ministry, which is really nice. And we do that through education and social work, family strengthening, and medical. I'd love to kind of jump to the medical a bit. Sam, can you just give us just a quick answer on why you think we need to start having babies at Cherish? You're muted.
Can't hear you, Sam. Are they mute?
You're kind of breaking up a bit. All right, let's we lost Achilles. Irene.
Yes, please.
Why don't you answer that question? Maybe not.
Yeah, why we need to. Hi guys, it's good to see. Obeying God's. We are seeing today, 13 years ago. We are grateful and we bless the Lord. Why we need to start delivering babies? We've seen we have come. We just do what we call the antenatal or prenatal care, and we don't give them a full package. We don't deliver them. We don't deliver the babies. So meaning that we don't give a full package to the mothers and to a child. So we realize that we are doing a disservice to the mothers and to a child. There are so many who are giving birth from their homes with these traditional birth attendants. If you've lived in Garuga and you know those deep villages, the old women that come and help the mothers give birth. And in that way, the children are still contracting HIV through that. So we thought it wise that if we gave a mother a full package, than just stopping at antenatal, but give everything, help them to deliver and deliver safely at Cherish. And we know that they have quality services, because really the government hospitals are not doing a very good job to give these mothers quality services. And we are saying we want to offer affordable and yet quality services to these mothers, having a full package that the child will be taken care of, a mother will be taken care of, and at the beginning, a child will be safe, will not contract HIV from the mother. And then we continue monitoring this child as they breastfeed and know that at this point they're going to stop breastfeeding and then they don't contract. So that constant monitoring of a child and a mother helps the children not to contract HIV. So that's why we think it is a very good thing. It's a cry for the community to that. They've been crying to us saying, please start delivering mothers, please, because the distance from where we are to the main road, you all know, it is long. By the time they get there, some of them give birth from the road, others, die on the way. So it's very, very important that if we started it at Cherish, we will save so many lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting because Lee and I, we lived there for 6 years, and like any of you, you've been present at births in Uganda, and they can be quite scary because of the environments often where babies are born, and then so many women do just deliver at home. I don't know if you remember Margaret, who was a farmer for us at the beginning for years and years, and she just kept working and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she shows up the next day. One day she shows up and she's holding a baby. Like, Margaret, what is that? It's my baby. Have your baby at home last night by myself. And that's just a normal thing.
Wow.
Like it's way too common. And Leo is
even during the COVID. Sorry, continue, Brent.
Go ahead.
I was saying during the lockdown, the COVID season, we had so many mothers, they didn't have where to go. And the only place was Cherish. And we are saying we don't have a place for you to deliver. And so we had to take it upon ourselves to say mothers would call us, and then we put them in our van that, is not fully equipped, and take them all the way to Kisubi. Kisubi is expensive because the government hospital that is nearer, that is cheap, was closed. This is where the COVID patients were put. So we didn't have where to put them. They ended up not delivering from hospitals. Actually, most of them that didn't have money delivered from home. So that also, increased the cry of the community. Why don't you start? You're nearer, you are helpful to us. And yet, in times like this, in difficult times like this, would have helped us, but you're not helping much. The only thing is give us transport, take us to an expensive hospital, and we can't afford the rates at those hospitals. So really, it would be good to start that service.
Yeah, and it's amazing that an HIV positive mother can give birth to a baby and that baby be HIV negative if it's done correctly.
Yes, true.
Yes.
You can't take care of that at home. And so good prenatal care and good postnatal care and deliver with someone who knows what they're doing literally save the lives of so many, which is just amazing. I mean, it's definitely something that God is calling, and because we're already walking along the journey with some of these moms already from the very beginning, and then all of a sudden we don't, and then we re-engage again after the baby's born. It just wasn't making sense. It was just time, and because of that discipleship desire and the goal to work with these moms and build relationships, like that birthing moment is a key one that we need to be a part of.
It's interesting that the date of the team mostly being assembled was the 6th of December 2006, and the first child came to sight on the 6th of December 2007.
Yeah.
We'll all remember that date very vividly. But we were told often by Mildmay, from whom some of the children came, and others, this child may live 3 or 4 days only. So I don't think maybe some of you realized that was the context that we were in, that they had no idea what would happen if a child was placed in a loving, well-fed or balanced nutrition and access to antiretrovirals at the right time twice a day. I was there only for 3.5 years and we never saw a child die. And I think the first child died some 2 years later. I've forgotten her name, Janet. Natasha, who was one of the original children. And it wasn't, as I understand it, from mainstream HIV AIDS, but you know, that is an incredible thing when you think of what the expectation was when we arrived. And I think we need to sort of tell this story again, because people sort of now take it for granted that it's a sort of fairly safe situation, but it was extraordinary. And Tear Fund, so I don't know if you know Tear Fund. Tear Fund's probably the biggest Christian charity working in disaster and general humanitarian care in the UK. And they decided to open up a section of their work in HIV/AIDS. And we were the first project they came to see in Africa. And they were completely overwhelmed by what they saw, because they had an expectation of disaster and death and despair. And it was an amazing day when they came. They flew into Entebbe and saw us before they saw anybody else. So it was a rather marvelous day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable that like Cherish really does save the lives of people, and not just physically.
Yeah.
It is an amazing thing that God is doing there.
I remember one child that came from Mildmay, and she was being cared for by an elderly grandfather. And they were concerned as much what would happen when the grandfather died, because he really wasn't well. So we took the child in, and years later, the grandfather was still visiting. And because he had that freedom from the worry and the burden of his grandchild, actually they both blossomed. And you realize the difference it makes, not just to the child you can see, but the family around. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're gathered here today, because there's a clear problem that HIV is an issue. You know, we tend to think it's not anymore, still is. I think we're getting more and more of a hold of it globally and even in Uganda, but it's still a problem. And babies being born HIV negative is a problem. And we don't want to live with that anymore. And so the solution is, in our little neck of the woods, is to be having babies born at our hospital. There's this tipping point between death and life, physically and spiritually. And Cherish endeavors to be that place that exists in that spot, where we can bring life. And sometimes it happens very tangibly with a program. Most often it happens through relationship. And the faces you see on this screen that are, you know, up late at night jumping on this call are the faces that are in the trenches with those people in those tipping points, those moments of moving from death to life. And it happens all the time. And so we were a part of that, many of you at the very beginning, and we are hoping others will also be a part of it. And all of that happens through love. It's, Jesus says, what's the greatest commandment? It's love God and love people. And Cherish is an outflow of that. Many of the people on this screen have given an immense amount of love to the people of Uganda, through the ministry of Cherish. And there's fruit, there's lives that are. So the people who are watching this, we want you to be a part of this amazing story. We could go on for a long time. Any one of you, I could say, Finn, go, and Finn could talk for a really long time about the amazing thing. And you go, and Claire, you go. Like, there's just so much that God's doing. And so this day is about saying, all right, we want to keep doing, and we want to keep being who God called us to be. And so we want people to understand that, you know, you start giving money to something like Cherish, and it's going to get there. You know, there's not, like, as the CEO, we don't get paid from Cherish money. You know, we raise money separate to cover our expenses. The money that gets sense, like there's so low overhead. It's just amazing how it translates into real ministry. And Anne, she's our bookkeeper there in the UK. She sees that money come and go. And
well done, Anne. Still.
Yeah. There's no
well done, Anne.
So I just want for anyone to see this to know that you can be a part of this. And it's at cherishuganda.org/WAD, all lowercase. And if you go there and right at the bottom of the far left side, it says UK or US. And you click the UK and you're off and running. And those funds get directly sent to us and the work that's going on. So we're really thankful to many of you who are here because the work that's happening there is because of a lot of the back-breaking, heart-breaking work you did in the early days. And it's pretty awesome to watch God continue to do the work. And now, what's interesting in a really good way is that there's no more Mzungus on site anymore. It's because Ugandans can. We love that.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful experience at Cherish as well, because we started, for those of you who don't know, we started with the intention to train or to find our replacement almost from day one.
Yeah.
So whilst, and I think that was really quite beautiful in a way of thinking, actually, yeah, I've got some skills, but actually the real skill is being able to share your skills and to upskill somebody else.
Or in my case, find someone who is more skilled.
Actually,
the nurse that first worked at Cherish had such an immense amount of knowledge, and I could never have done the job that she did, or that we managed to achieve together. I couldn't have done that without her. So I agree.
If I could just interject here for a second, it's been so beautiful to kind of see the legacy of the people that are on this call, Ugandan, UK, American. It's really awesome. I would just, as somebody that's involved with 1 Million Home as a director level position, we get to see a lot of organizations that are doing excellent work. And over the last, dozen years that you guys have been operating, I would just say that Cherish Uganda is really a model to a lot of other organizations of how to do work with at-risk children well. When people started to kind of see the effects of HIV/AIDS and the ensuing orphan crisis, a lot of people rushed to do residential facilities, and you guys did amazing work to save kids. But even as you guys have been talking about this transition to family, that family is a core value in the work that you guys do. And to do that in a way that you guys continue to support families through medical services, through education services, and now to be opening up this the clinic to deliver babies. I can't think of a more pro-family type of initiative than to actually deliver little ones and to make sure that those deliveries are safe and that mom is okay and that baby is okay. So as somebody that's relatively new, just started following along with Cherish this year as I stepped into my role with 1 Million Home. I've been a donor as well because I just believe in the work that you guys are doing, and I have to hop off a call because I got a 6-year-old's birthday today. But I'm just so delighted to hear the legacy that you guys have been investing in, and would just encourage anybody that's either on this call or other people that watch the recording later, that Cherish is the real deal. And there's a lot of other organizations and countries that are looking to you guys to say, how can we do this work better when it comes to working with kids that are infected and affected by HIV/AIDS or other at-risk children in sub-Saharan Africa. So just so delighted to be on the call and just encourage all of you guys to just keep on. Just appreciate Brent's leadership as well as the leadership on the ground in Uganda. Just fantastic work. So all the best to you guys, and happy Giving Tuesday. Happy World AIDS Day too. I'll be making my donation to Cherish today.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I'd like to wrap this up, and I'd like for Leah just to share a bit about something exciting that's coming in regards to the hospital that I think is it's God continuing to do what God continues to do.
Yeah, our doctor ended up leaving, I don't know, a month or so ago. And so I had the opportunity to be part of the panel of interviewing new doctors. First, they got round 1 doctors through, and then I was in round 2 as we narrowed it down to 3 doctors. And it was interesting that the doctor that we decided to go with and offered the job to on Monday, her specialty is labor and delivery. Her specialty is all about babies. She knows how to do cesareans. And so it was interesting because even as we are looking toward the future of what do we even want to do, the hospital's birthday is today, 5 years old today. And so to celebrate 5 years of our hospital, and it has definitely gone through changes, and we really believe another change is coming, and we really do want to focus and maybe even turn our hospital into a labor and delivery hospital with an HIV specialty. So we're exploring. We just feel kind of like we have a lot of options, and we don't have to keep doing what we've always done. And we've seen that as part of Cherish. It starts off to be one thing. We follow the vision that God gives us, and then he continues to open that vision more and more. And as just in the last days, literally, as we're like babies, like really like maybe that becomes our sole focus, with HIV also being a huge part of that. And then God brings the doctor, and that is so we would love if you guys would just pray. In the next few weeks, we are going to be making some big decisions on how we're going to move forward. But we're thankful for the new doctor. Her name is Dr. Florence. And we do know that for sure a part of our story is going to be delivering some babies and believing that they are going to live. The 6 years we were there, I truly was at more births of babies who ended up dying than I really ever saw babies who lived. And it's traumatic for one who watches it, but for sure traumatic for the one who has to endure. And so we want to change that story. And I know that God has placed Cherish strategically to do that. And now I think we have a new direction that we're headed to.
It's awesome. Thank you all for jumping on this call. And we'll see what kind of legs this call gets when it goes out, and hopefully grabs some people's hearts, and people can be a part of what we're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. Good to see you all again. I wish I could hear just a little bit of something from Sam, if he was able to say something. You're currently leading Cherish in Uganda, aren't you, Sam? And I wonder what it feels, although you were right at the beginning, playing football and teaching kids. What does it feel like now for you? Sorry, I just feel like I wanted to just hear a bit of what it's like for you these days, if you can.
No.
No. We cannot hear you, Sam.
Can you hear us?
If we all switch our microphones off, it might help, but I don't know.
Let's try mute.
Because it was, when he first jumped on the call, it was fine. Him and I were talking. So I don't know what to do with this.
You're muted now, Sam.
No.
Yeah, there we go. Try.
No.
Oh, Manange.
Manange. Well,
the heart is there. I wanted to hear something, but I hope it's going really well for you. And yeah.
Maybe to answer the other bit for him, that he still plays football.
Do you still have the football kit?
No, he still plays football.
No.
He just told me a couple of weeks ago he doesn't play quite as hard as he used to play, seeing how he's getting older now.
football.
So yeah, very fond memories of football, but also there was a real tragic memory with football, you know. So we'll never forget our junior, you know. So some of you may not know that he was one of those who worked there. So anyway, just starting up reminds me of the story of Junior as well, who was such a diligent young man, really worked well, but yeah, he was a good footballer as well. But anyway, it just reminded me of some of that. Some of the story was hard at the beginning, and it was also good. So we're grateful for both of those bits. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us.
Yes.
We're really grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for organising it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you. Love you.
Bye.